boom, boom, boom. My man, Engineer Steve. A little round for Engineer Steve. Always keeping it fresh and live in the stash. What's happening, gang? Welcome back. Real Talk Radio San Diego. We're trying to get all smart and stuff today. You guys ready to get all smart and stuff? You guys are ready to leave us a little better than how you found? I'm, of course, pointing to my esteemed guests, Roberta Robinson and Daniel J. Wilson. Mother-son duo.
That's right.
Quite a little theme in the stash today. And as you guys just witnessed, of course, in the last segment, we got kind of caught up on, maybe what to do in advance of the untimely thing. And then as Roberta correctly gave me the title, estate administration is basically what happens thereafter, right?
That's right.
So, and maybe you could just kick us off by sharing with us a little bit about background about who you guys are, what you do, all that good stuff.
Well, we are Robinson and Wilson, a law corporation, and I'm a certified specialist with the State Bar in Trust and Estate Law. So that's a specialty that not everybody runs into every day, but that's the world of wills, trusts, probate, and estate administration.
Yeah, boy, you're not lying, right? I mean, that list is long. You probate, estate taxes, income taxes, property taxes.
It covers a lot of issues. So after a death, we have to deal with the many, many things that happen in a family, and each family is unique. So from our point of view, it's a creative process. We know what the pieces of the puzzle are, but we have to fit the pieces together. And Daniel, could you tell us about your background a little bit?
Sure. So I've been in practice for now about 3 years. And like you mentioned, we're a mother-son team. Mm-hmm. And I also have my master's in tax. Like we're going over, all these tax issues come up in estate administration. And so we work together on all the projects. And with her experience and my longevity in the field of law, I think we really serve our clients' best interest that way.
Yeah, what does that mean, the longevity? That's great.
Well, with estate planning, you set up these documents today. And if you're young in our group, you're 40 or 50. And so you don't expect these documents to really come into effect for 20, 30, maybe 40 years. And so with me being a little bit younger, they know that the experience that, my mom has set up their estate plan, that I'll be around to execute it when the time comes and maybe even meet with their children or grandchildren.
I love that thought. What a cool duo there. So, I mean, I think you're already kind of riffing on this a little bit, but if you were to put in, kind of throw you in the hot seat, like what makes you stand out from everybody else who does this, like all the other estate planners out there?
Right. So the biggest thing we do is we explain really complex legal issues in a very clear way for everyone to understand. So a lot of the times we are in the estate administration area, we're meeting with the children who have just lost a parent, and it's a difficult time for them to go through. And sometimes, they're focused on the task at hand, but they may not be sophisticated in the area of trust administration or probate. They've never had to deal with it before. So we really explain to them very clearly the steps ahead. We give very clear instructions, and we really tailor everything we do to each individual person to really meet their goals and make sure everything goes as smoothly as possible.
Gang, that's Daniel J. Wilson from Roberta and Wilson Law Corporation over at trustlaw.us. So let's say that I'm your client, right? Like, give me some ideas. Like, how would you help me preserve my hard-earned assets for my family?
Oh, if you want me to talk, I'll talk. All right. So you're in real estate. I'm just going to make a big jump here that you might own a lot of real estate.
Working on it, yeah.
Very good. And you might have much mortgaged property. You're a young guy. You're leveraged right now. Yeah. So I have to take that into account.
Wow. Is she also like one of those like mind reader with the
when you've been around long enough, you see these things.
And you're married. I see a ring on your finger.
You betcha.
And you're a young guy. You might have children.
Yep. One little and one on the way.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
So the hardest thing actually in speaking with young families is who would be the guardian of your children. And I'll tell you, a lot of young people don't put their will or trust into effect because they don't want to think about that. And that's a real terrible thing to think about. But one of your responsibilities as a parent is to take care of this. And I say this because my son also has a young family. And one of the things I said is you have to set up your estate plan. You have to know what it feels like because it doesn't feel so good to do it. When after you've done it, you're greatly relieved. I'll tell you that.
I know the old adage, I don't remember where I picked it up, but you can't give away anything that you don't already own, right? That's great motherly advice.
It is.
Yeah. If that's maybe the good thing about a mother-daughter duo, what's the challenge? What's the number one challenge?
Oh, wait a minute.
Well, the challenge really is, kind of getting into a flow of things that works out really well. So not only are we mother-son, but we're kind of boss-employee in a way.
Yeah.
So we each have our own roles. And I think in this field, it works out really well because our clients really do appreciate that we are that mother-son team. They know that she's invested in my future and that she's not, just handing off all her clients to some attorney that bought her out or something like that.
Yeah, I know you guys are beautiful. It's obviously you guys work well together. Either that or it's a great front. And you met in the parking lot and you shook on it. You're like, we're going to be great today.
Yeah.
No, it's good. So one of the things that comes up for me is this concept of misconceptions, right? So, is there a difference between a litigation attorney and a planning attorney?
Definitely. It was interesting. The father-daughter team that was just in here, when we first walked in, the dad, David, said to me, "Oh, we're competitors." And I said, "No, we're not really competitors. We're all planners." So planners want to look at the road ahead. Yeah. And try to, as much as we can, see what is the future going to be and make it go smoothly. Sometimes as lawyers, we have to bring up the elephant in the room, what people don't want to talk about, but then they're relieved that we do talk about it. And we want to make things go smoothly. We don't want conflict. Each of us, I think, has been trained in mediation and how to get people to get along. And litigators are a different breed of people. They kind of thrive on conflict and doing the best they can for their client, but we're here to preserve the family.
And one of the things, again, I hate to keep bringing this context up, but a little bit morbid, is the thought of actually having to carry out the thing in the first place. And this is a critical role that you guys play, right? So it's not just in the setting up, but when everybody's, grieving and they're in those really dark moments, someone has to pick up the ball and move it down the court.
That's right.
So what are some ways that you guys help clients in that capacity?
So we have to deal with the executor and or trustee. And it's interesting, in my practice, I try not to see them right away. And if someone comes in right away, we can talk, we can educate them, and they'll forget what we said because they're grieving. And it takes maybe a month or two before they're really ready to digest new information.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah, they're going through their cycle of grief, right?
It is.
Yeah, and I bet you guys see it all. Is your office have one of those little couches?
Might as well.
Yeah, you might as well, right? Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of a red flag if they're in there like the next day. It's kind of like,
we try to slow them down.
Let's slow play this.
And there are many things that they have to gather together, which is all the information about what are the documents, what are the assets, title to the assets, values of the assets. And then we try to give them in writing the road ahead. And I've had a CPA of 50 years say to me, he never got a letter like that from an attorney where it's all tied together, what all the steps are, subject by subject, and what you have to focus on.
It's got to be really difficult to deal with these issues, right? Not just for them, but also for you guys too. So what would you say, what would be the one piece of advice that if you could maybe broadcast this message out to a larger group of folks right now, what would you want to make sure you leave them with?
I would say communication on all fronts. In the lifetime, talk about these things. If you have young children, talk to your spouse about who you think would be the best person to take care of the children. Talk about money, talk about finances, how much there's going to be. If you are leaving a substantial amount to the children, let them know how much maybe they expect to receive, how much maybe they, how you feel they should receive it, what they should do with it. And again, going back to the personal effects, if there's any issues that you may not be aware of, just bring it up. Have all the family together. And sometimes if the children aren't willing to get together around the kitchen room table, go in to see your attorneys, because it's a little bit more real when you're all sitting around the table. Everyone remembers clearly. There's no after the fact when mom and dad are gone to say, well, in secrecy, mom told me this, because when you're at the attorney's office, everyone heard it. It's all on the table. So we really talk about communication. And even on the probate and trust administration side, if you're the executor, if you're the trustee, make sure you have good communication with the beneficiaries, because they don't know all the work that you're doing. They don't know the timing of these things. And if they get a little antsy, they might try to find their own attorney to sort of fight you on these things. Well
said. That's why we got local powerhouses, Roberta Robinson and Daniel J. Wilson in. You can catch them, by the way, at trustlaw.us, or you can call them at 858-485-1990. You guys are also doing some good work locally, right? Is it the Boys and Girls Club?
That's right.
Yes, so I'm involved with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater San Diego. Can I give you a pitch for their upcoming benefit?
Please do.
All right. They are having a benefit dinner on September 26th, and you know who the guest performer is?
Lionel Richie.
Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
Wow.
You want to see him now. And so you can go on their website, sdyouth.org, if you would like to get tickets to come.
That's pretty cool. Gang, thank you guys so much for coming, leaving us a little better than how you found us. Real Talk Radio San Diego, that's what we're trying to do for you every Tuesday between 10 and 11. So coming up, we're going to round this conversation out, get everybody back in, and do a little final thoughts, if you will. Thanks for hanging out in the stash. We'll be right back.